good, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going through this craziness where we're all feel like we've been sent to our room.
Bro, I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm seeing Georgia. I'm seeing Florida open up. Cases have gone down. And I'm like, but yet we're still under quarantine till freaking forever.
Who knows when, right? You're in where are you at? You're in California, right?
California, yeah, LA County.
You guys are getting they're locking up surfers out there and letting everybody else out.
Bro, it's crazy to me, man. I can't even go and get a haircut, man. It's nuts.
Yeah, is that why you got the hat on today, man?
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm gonna get a haircut tomorrow and stuff, but I'm gonna keep that under wraps because people want to criticize you and stuff. Like, I'm gonna go get a haircut at a friend of mine's house and stuff. But it's ridiculous, man.
No, you can't stop living. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's so much mixed messaging and everything going on out there, which is the hardest part. I mean, they tell you do this, then don't do that, then it's just a million crazy things happening. And I just want them to say, hey, you know what? On this day, everything's back to normal.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's even possible just based on how people are freaking out. It's like alcohol still being sold. Yet people kill each other, drunk drivers all the time. Cigarettes still being sold. People die from secondhand smoke all the time from cancer. But does that happen? No. It's just I can't stand it, dude.
I'm here. I'm with you, man. And it's got to be like, even because your life depends on being able to be out and doing this stuff, and you're kind of shut down as is the whole kind of entertainment and sports industry and travel industry. All anybody who works in those fields right now, man. It's just you're just shut down. There's nothing you could do. And it's crazy. Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm not saying 80,000 people should be in a stadium, but it's like, let's do sports behind closed doors and stuff. And people are like, well, that shouldn't even happen. I'm like, well, then what do you want to do? Sit in your home and be scared your entire life? The answer may be yes. That's the scary
part. But it's like crazy, dude. It's like you jump in an Uber ride. You never know. You don't know what those Uber drivers are capable of.
And you don't know who was in the car before you. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things like I said, life is, there used to be a show called 1,000 Ways to Die. And that show used to say, it's a wonder we're alive at all with all the stuff that could potentially kill you. But, you brought it up, so I'm going to go there. Like UFC this week or last weekend started again. So it's, and I know, Dana White was one of the last holdouts here, especially in the combat sports.
Yeah, of course.
He was ready to go no matter what. I mean, there was even talk of him buying an island. I don't even know if that's still on the underway, but to go do combat sports. That it was, did you get a chance to see it, or did you?
No, I watched the pay-per-view. I watched it a little bit a couple of days ago, and look, the thing is, I know Dana White said about 3 weeks it'll be completed, but with the way that Nevada, I think, is going to start to open up, Florida is doing their thing, I think Dana's like, man, do we really need to invest all this money in a fight island when we have the resources in Nevada, in Florida that we're comfortable with? And when people want to criticize him and say, oh, well, this and that, look, they are doing testing. And if the fighters are willing to participate and under their own volition, then let them be. Why do we have to criticize? Oh, what are they doing, this or that? Or Joe Rogan got criticized for going in the octagon, doing interviews on Saturday. But it's like, he's been tested. Everyone there has been tested. Yeah. I mean, it's just let us live our lives. If you choose not to live that way, that's your business.
Yeah.
I'm not going to criticize you. Who am I to judge you? But stop criticizing for the rest of us.
Well, people want to look at things and go, hey, that's not right. And they want to get outraged. I mean, I'm a jet, and I think a lot of it's in part to social media, and people just want to be upset. Yeah, and they want to look at you and say, you shouldn't be doing that. And if you don't listen to them, then you're doing something wrong. It's crazy. It's a crazy society right now. And,
I don't know if you caught it, but yesterday, I went ahead and I put out on my social media, USA Today had the NFL records and stuff like that. And, my Bears are listed as 3-13. So I was like, I'm not for that. And they're totally wrong people come out and start chiming in. They're like, there's not going to be an NFL season, and, it's going to be, COVID-19 bears nothing. And I'm like, wait a minute, like that. I don't live my life negative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you believe that there shouldn't be 80,000 fans, I get it. But to say, oh, there's not going to be an NFL season and get on your soapbox and this and that, these players do not care about you.
Yeah.
They don't care about us. They're trying to earn a living just like the rest of us.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody just wants to go back to normal, and at least a lot of people do. I mean, I think there's some that don't, but it's just, I think for the most part, general society, and I get worried because here's the thing, man. I mean, the longer this goes on, the more desperate people are going to get, the more broke they're going to get, the more they're going to struggle to pay their bills, the more, the more we might start seeing some riots and different things like that. And I don't really want to see any of that, man.
I don't know. I don't agree with the fact that it's like in certain areas that they want the people to become, unless you are totally, totally wealthy, to depend on the government. I wasn't raised that way. I don't like that way of thinking in any way. Like, I'm self-sufficient. Like, that's why you go to school. That's why you get a job. And it's just like, let us work.
Yeah.
I'll wear a face mask if you want me to wear a face mask, ring announcing wise, or, I'll keep my distance, but just let us do our thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing that comes down to this is they're giving out all this money, unemployment. They're giving out like more money than they normally would have. Like, they doubled it almost. Mm-hmm. Now, who pays for that? Where does that money come from? Where does that end up coming from? Because it's got to come from somewhere. It didn't just get manufactured, and so it's just like I said. There's a lot of things that are very bothersome right now. And
yeah, absolutely.
A lot of anxiety going on, but I think we're echoing pretty much what a lot of people are feeling right now. Throughout the world with just, come on, enough. We need to get back to life here. And hopefully, like I said, I'm hoping they're wrong. There isn't a resurgence of all this stuff.
Yeah, bro, that is like, no, please no. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, once we get going again, it's just like, hey, let's be healthy. Let's be, safe, wash your hands a ton. And let's try to get back to whatever normality can be at this point.
Yeah, and hopefully a couple years from now we're all going, remember when
man, I hope so.
But
no doubt about it.
Yeah, so man, I know it's crazy right now, and like I said, UFC started again, and that's cool. It was kind of strange with no audience. I mean, hey, I'm appreciating what they're doing. I think it's great. It was just weird kind of watching it with like no audience there, because you're used to hearing it. I think it's just you're used to it. You're used to hearing the crowd behind it. You're used to hearing, it's amazing how clean, though, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, you can hear them talking to each other.
Exactly. Man, it was great. And what was interesting, and this is something that on my standpoint, when we come back, I'm hearing that boxing, Bob Arum said he wants to come back in June. Showtime mentioned that they're working with PBC to come back potentially in July. So from my standpoint is, with there being no fans in the arena, I think that we should put the broadcast positions back more, because if I'm watching a fight from the monitor, I don't know if I told you the first time that I was on with you, but I watch the fight. I'll look up occasionally, but I like to watch the fight from the monitor because that's what you, the TV audience, is seeing. There's nothing better than the camera angles and the technology that the broadcast has. So if I'm watching something, I'm like, he needs to use his jab, or he needs to do this, or he needs to do that. Daniel Cormier mentioned this when Greg Hardy was fighting, and Hardy said, he goes, I wasn't checking kicks. I hear DC say, Hardy needs to check some kicks, and I started checking some kicks, and I think that helped me get, somewhat of the victory. I don't want to do that. That's not fair. When we come back from a boxing standpoint, to be on the ring or as where we are typically, and then have the fighters with no fans hear us, and maybe they use that to their advantage, because we're supposed to be impartial. So if a fighter is dominating, then I'm going to talk about what the guy who's being dominated in order to get back in the fight. And what if he hears me? Then that affects that the guy who's having a terrific performance inside the ring. So I'm very big on that. Let's make the playing field even and in these trying times, and put our broadcast positions back a little bit.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea, because it is, you do hear a lot of things that you wouldn't normally hear without the audience there. And it becomes, a little bit of, it could be a disadvantage. It could be, it could cause some issues in that realm, So it's, and we getting into the boxing piece now. What do you think about Mike Tyson? I mean, what the heck is going on?
Here, I told my girlfriend this, recently, and I said, look, it's great that he's in fantastic shape. And I know that Chavez and this fighter in Mexico, Jorge Arce, they do exhibitions every now and then. But Mike Tyson, I don't know if he has the capability to be a part of an exhibition and not throw bombs at people. So that's my issue. And I told her, I'm like, if he's going to come back and try to fight at a high level, that is a big mistake, because he's going to be fighting against guys that are 15, 20 years younger than him. The athletes, as as we have seen in the progression of MMA, you and I talk about old school MMA, the difference between the light heavyweights when Chuck Liddell and Babalu and these guys and Tito Ortiz were fighting compared to the light heavyweights now in 2020 is vastly different.
Oh,
it's a new age, new era. The same thing in heavyweight boxing. You got guys like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. Even if Tyson fights someone in the top 30, it's still a young, fresh, stronger athlete. And if you put yourself in that position into your 50s, you're risking getting seriously hurt. That's Tyson. Holyfield's showing videos that he's talking about doing this or doing that. Holyfield fought into his mid-40s. Enough. You want to do exhibition, fine. But I don't know if Tyson, if you clock Tyson in an exhibition, I don't know if he's going to say, okay, this is friendly, whatever. He's going to go after you.
Oh, he's going to come in strong. Yeah, I don't think Mike has that in him to hold back. I don't think he has that. I think, and he's the type of fighter, honestly, we've seen what he looks like when his mind ain't right. We've seen what happens when he ain't in it. But when he's all in, he's dangerous. He's a dangerous man. He's a dangerous guy. I mean, I probably, like you and probably millions of other people, watched that video of him hitting pads, and I was like, wow, the man still at 53 years old has bombs and multiple bombs just coming at you. It's just, he's in fantastic shape. He's hitting pads. He's got skill. There's even been some talk about him going up against an MMA fighter in a boxing exhibition match. Not fighting MMA, but in boxing. Yeah. But, they're talking, about some of that. And then I forget where it was. I think World Boxing News has given odds on who he's going to fight. Oh, jeez.
It's just like, enough. Like, are we that bored in quarantine that we are grasping at straws and trying to talk about Mike Tyson coming back? Let's talk about the guys that are currently fighting in boxing and MMA. Let's talk about guys who are getting their opportunity to shine. And again, that's my problem. Floyd Mayweather has come out and said, look, my time is done. Like, I know he kind of threw it out there a little bit and he was maybe entertaining it, but he goes, look, I'm done. I'm going to focus. I'm going to go into maybe being a trainer, as he's a promoter as well with Gervonta Davis, a lot of his guys. I like that Mayweather said, all right, I'm done, guys. Let the younger generation, the guys that are having the platform now, get the full attention. If Tyson wants to do that, whatever, that's cool. But I don't like the fact, can you imagine a 20-year-old Mike Tyson if, guys that were his age or older than him, like Foreman, saying, I'm going to come back again 3 or 4 times. It's not fair to these guys. Let the young guys do their thing and get the full attention.
No, I get it. I think, what was Foreman, 45 when he came back?
Yeah, when he beat Michael Moore.
Yeah, for the last time. But
that's 45, not 53.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. That's a big difference. You're talking about 8 years of time. And you could be in fantastic shape. And actually, it's kind of funny we bring up Holyfield because that's kind of the odds right now. They're giving a 2-to-1 odds that Tyson's going to fight Holyfield again. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, people ask me, they go, what would you do if your bosses came to you and you had to commentate the fight? I'm like, well, I'm going to do what we do in business, and that's when your boss tells you to do something, you do your job. Yeah. But am I in agreement with it? No, because I don't want to see these guys get hurt. let them be. It's almost like watching when you watch pro wrestling and you see guys come back too long, and you're like, man, this is just sad, or why is this happening? I don't want to be that way with Tyson. I saw Danny Williams knock him out years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
Do we not forget that Mike Tyson lost to Kevin McBride? Hello? Like, that was when he was still fighting. What is wrong with you people?
Yeah. Well, it's, his mind wasn't right. It's and I don't know if it is now or it's not, but yeah, he is 53, and then who knows? He could get seriously injured, or he could seriously injure somebody else. Exhibition fights. That they're just that. They're exhibition fights. They're not supposed to be lethal and dangerous. But like I said, I don't think he has that in him. I think if he goes in, someone hits him and it hurts, he's going to hurt them bad.
Oh, hey, 100%, Steve.
That's just what it comes down to.
I agree. But yeah, I'm like, let's get to other, the UFC stuff. And look, I'm excited about what's happening with PBC boxing. Guys are going back and forth. I don't know if you've been watching my Instagram live series every single Monday, but we had Jason Rosario on, Jermell Charlo. They were going back and forth. Two champions at 154 talking about unifying the division, even without fans. There were a lot of good fights out there on both boxing and MMA side.
Oh, yeah, in all divisions, too. There's just tons of good stuff. And we got, of course, we've talked about Wilder Fury before, and that's going to be happening again. We just don't know at this point when.
Or what year. Hopefully it's 20 this year. But Bob Arum has said we may have to push it to 2021 if there are no fans. And that's the thing. When it comes to these these massive epic fights, a lot of the money that the promoters get, aside from TV, is the gate. So if we're not having fans in the arenas, or if we're having a third of the arena, I don't think personally that we get these mega fights that dictate, because the fighters will not be able to maximize their revenue. And there's a difference if you're making at the gate $20 million and that's cut to 6 or 7. Well, that hurts these guys from making a couple $1 million extra, which is generational wealth for their families. I don't think that's right. So if it's got to be pushed to early 21, or when there's a vaccine, hopefully soon, and it works, then we have to do it that way.
Hopefully they make one that works, because they miss more than they hit.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of times. So they don't always nail it, And so, one of the questions, because you're really cued in on PBC,
yes.
What should we be watching for? What should people be looking? Who are the fighters that are coming up, since we're talking about that? I want to let shine right now. I want to hear who these guys are. And I want you to tell it, because you're the insider, man. You're the guy who's right there all the time. So,
well, look, I love the fact, we talked about unification at 154 with this fighter from the Dominican Republic, Jason Rosario, defeated Julian Williams back in January. And now Jermell Charlo, he commented on the Instagram live. So we brought him on. He goes, if he wants it, I'm okay with it. Let's do it. We'll do it without fans. The TV money will be right. Let's make it happen. 168, you got David Benavidez, WBC super middleweight champion of the world, defeated Anthony Durrell last September. Talking about maybe fighting Caleb Plant. I think that fight is a while or a little bit away. But both guys are, hungry guys. Both guys are undefeated. Both guys don't like each other. Both guys are champions.
That always makes
to fight some of the division. They don't. I'm not going to say that they hate each other. That's a strong word, but it's getting there, Steve. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, the more they talk and the more quarantine we have, it's probably going to build up, because they're going to be on Instagram, Twitter, and every other area nailing at each other. They definitely don't like each other. There's talk about Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz happening on pay-per-view in the fall. That's a matchup I'm excited about. Gervonta Davis been wiping out guys. Leo Santa Cruz from right here in Southern California. Volume puncher, very talented. Only loss coming to Carl Frampton years ago. It's just a fun time for boxing. You obviously got Deontay Wilder still out there trying to come back after losing to Tyson Fury. Yep. He's going to add 2 members to his camp, 2 different trainers, along with Mark Breland and JD. So this is a great time for boxing, because the younger guys, welterweights, Errol Spence, possibly against Danny Garcia. Garcia is the #1 mandatory by the WBC. I think that's an excellent fight. What's going to happen with Manny Pacquiao? Who does he fight?
Will he fight a rematch with Keith Thurman, or is he going to fight Mikey Garcia? Or is he going to be someone that I didn't mention? That's another thing. What happens with Sean Porter? Does he have a rematch with your Dennis Ugas? After Porter lost to Errol Spence in an excellent fight. 147's always been the money division in boxing. And, there are so many hungry contenders. Well, will we ever get Spence and Crawford? I believe we will. But again, both guys have to win. Who's Terrence Crawford going to fight in the future? When is Teofimo Lopez going to fight Vasily Lomachenko on the top-ranked side? There's so many hungry, talented world champions and contenders, and I love it because people want to fight each other. I think this time of quarantine has kind of told people, it's like, look, life is too short. We can't allow things to marinate too long. The days are gone of Mayweather and Pacquiao taking 5 years to happen. At the maximum, maybe you get. They want it now. And I'm like, look, with Plant Benavidez, I want that fight now. But business-wise, I think it's 9 to 10 months away. I think both guys need a fight, and then they fight each other. People ask me, like yourself, what's going to happen with Spence Crawford? My, answer is the exact same. I think both guys have to win one more fight, then we build towards that. But with this happening, I think that promoters, matchmakers, fighters, fans obviously have always wanted it, but the days of having things go 2-3 years are over with, because this is a very different time and a different mindset in society. That's how I'm feeling. That's the vibe I'm getting from my associates and people I work with. And I'm like, for me, let's go.
That's the vibe you're getting for me too, man, because I want it now. I want to see it. I want to see it go down. I don't want to, it's like we're sitting around here right now, and I understand why things can't go down right now. But, I think we're going to get, when we come out of this whole thing, man, it's going to be a flurry of just stuff happening, because it's going to need to. People are going to need the excitement. They're going to be pretty much starved for entertainment. And, what's going to be there. And you're right. Boxing is coming back like it, for a while there was a big lull in boxing. It just seemed like there's not much happening there. And then all of a sudden, boom, over the last several, few years here, we see this huge insurgence of all this amazing. Not that the talent wasn't there before, but it wasn't like it is now.
Well, the problem was, Steve, is that it was too much on premium cable TV. So the guy at the bar, or the guy that hangs out with his buddies, if you are a hardcore fight fan, I've always had HBO and Showtime, but they weren't going to go ahead and get that premium cable network. Now with PBC, when we jumped on the scene 5 years ago, started putting boxing on NBC, on CBS, on regular TV, Top Rank is on ESPN. It's like now you're allowed, you're able to watch fights on Fox and FS1, on ESPN. That's wonderful. Showtime has done several events on CBS. So that's where it is going. Because can you imagine if the NFL was on this exclusive sports package that only a few people can go ahead and buy, or willing to spend $15-20 on? Probably wouldn't be as popular as what it is today.
Yeah, I think they would probably, if that were to happen, I think they'd make a ton of money for a couple of years. And then it would just fade out.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what happened with, boxing at one point. A couple of years they did great, but then, it just kind of faded out. People didn't want to, they didn't want to get those exclusive packages. And now you got it everywhere. It's out there. And I think it's great for the sport. It's great for combat sports in general, because that's, I love combat sports. I'm a huge combat sports fan, and boxing and kickboxing and MMA, all that stuff. And there's so many options now. It's just amazing. It's just an amazing time for combat sports.
Exactly. It's like whatever if you want to watch the UFC on ESPN Plus, ESPN, I wish that the UFC, Fight Pass. I work with Invicta several times. There's so many, boxing, DeBell Entertainment, they're on UFC Fight Pass. So it's, there's so much entertainment out there, but we just have to get back to work so that these fights can happen.
Yeah. And that's, and it's starting to happen, which is great. Like I said, I think UFC is the one that kind of leads the way a lot in the MMA world with, what they're doing. And, they're going to, since they're coming back, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of the other ones start popping back up too. I think Cage Fury's going to be back soon. I think, a lot of these combat sports, agencies are going to start coming back and putting out some really quality fights. I think we're going to have to see that.
Well, I think to credit to Dana White and the UFC, I know he's been criticized, and look, Dana's he has a fiery personality, and the New York Times
don't give up. He don't like to give up.
No, and the New York Times had an article, and they criticized him, and he didn't take it too well, whatever. But the bottom line is that, look, Dana White has been the one that says, look, I know my guys have to fight, and he has so many fighters under contract that if he's not, if they're not getting the TV revenue, people are like, well, how come you can't, just pay the fighters to sit at home? And in my mind, from a business standpoint, it's like, in theory, that sounds good. But business-wise, you have over 300 fighters under contract that make of varying amounts of money. So if they're not fighting, then like the rest of the world, if we don't, a lot of the world is, if they don't work, they don't get paid. I think the days of salaried employees, that's kind of going by the window, in my opinion. So UFC is like, all right, let's take safety precautions, do what we got to do, make it happen. Jakara Souza tested positive for coronavirus, and 2 cornermen. They were isolated. They were okay. No one else tested positive from what I know. Showing off fine and well. 700,000 pay-per-view buys. That means that the country is starving for entertainment. That was a really good card, Steve, but that wasn't a 700,000 pay-per-view buy card.
No,
Let's be honest with you.
That's got to be some kind of record.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like Ferguson and Gaethje, that's a fun fight. But for the casual fans bought the pay-per-view. Why? Because they're starving for the entertainment. Everyone's at home doing nothing. And I love that the UFC is like, we're going to make sure everyone's safe, everyone's healthy. Let's get these guys in the octagon doing what they're doing. We'll pay them well. And that's what's happening. I think that's great what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, it's phenomenal. And they're, like I said, they're leading the way. And, going into the UFC stuff, I mean, you got Khabib out there. You got Gaethje out there now. I mean, what do you think? Where do you think, this is all going as far as, I mean, what are some cards you'd really like to see?
Well, I mean, look, Khabib and Justin Gaethje is an unbelievable fight. I think that is bananas. But the thing is that that Khabib Nurmagomedov's father is in the hospital. We hope he gets okay. Did he pass away?
You know what? I think I heard that. I don't want to speak to that because I'm not 100% sure. I know he was very, very ill.
Yeah. So
I think
my thing is,
did, but he may not have. So I don't want to go out and say that.
I don't know. And this is just me being, just a human. I don't think it's fair to force Khabib to fight unless he wants to, if his father, if something happens to his father, especially during these difficult times. So I'm like, okay, in my opinion, let Gaethje defend his interim lightweight title against Conor McGregor. McGregor said he wants to fight. He put out a tweet a couple days ago, hey, July, something very cryptic about July. So my assumption is he's making overtures that he wants to fight in July. If Khabib does not want to fight because of what is going on with his family, then he should handle his family business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You make Gaethje put that interim lightweight title on the line against Conor McGregor because that is a heck of a fight. And
McGregor wants to fight.
Exactly. I mean, can you imagine Gaethje and Conor McGregor? To me, that's a better fight than Khabib and Gaethje stylistically because Gaethje throws bombs, Conor throws bombs.
Yep.
I'm like, yo, let's do this. I mean, I've been watching Breaking Bad, which is why I said yo. So it's like, but I'm like, yo, let's make this happen, man. Like, let's see these boys get in the octagon.
Let's see them get down
and throw,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they're both, I mean, you're absolutely right. Stylistically, they're both stand-up fighters. They're both fighters that are going to drop bombs quick, and come out swinging and come out hard. That's just what they do, and that makes for a phenomenal fight. And the fans love that stuff too. I mean, it's one of the things I always get to whenever I go to an event, and people are on the ground doing the jiu-jitsu thing and they're fighting, and I love seeing that too, but I'm technically I understand what they're doing. A lot of fans, may not, a lot of people may not. So they're always like, stand them up.
Exactly.
And it's this would be McGregor and Gaethje would be a great fight for the fans because it'll just be full of action. I think the anticipation will drive it pretty hard. So, yeah, that would be a phenomenal fight. Just to go back for a second, I just looked it up. No, his father did not pass away. Khabib's father did not pass away. Thank God. My prayers are with them. But, I just read something real quick because I just checked on my computer and it said he woke from a coma. So
that's great. That's fantastic.
That's good
that's very good news. But again,
that's accurate news.
But where's Khabib's head at is my thing. With his father dealing with this, where's his head at? So I don't think it's fair to force him to come back. Yeah. But if Gaethje is there and Conor is there, put them together. I know people have said, what about Conor and Nate Diaz? And they've been going back and forth. But to me, the logical fight, if Khabib does not want to defend his title, and I think that he's earned the right to say no in this particular case, because when it comes to family, if your family situation's not right, don't get in there. Exactly. So, Gaethje, Conor, and then the winner of that fight fights Khabib. Let's make it happen, man. Heck, I could be a matchmaker for the UFC, man. Let's go.
Man. That could be the next one for you. Because that would be great. What about the female divisions? You have some stuff going on there. You got Shevchenko. You got Nunez. All kinds of stuff happening there. What are your thoughts on those?
I think Amanda Nunes is just a monster. She's mean. She's tough. She is. Oh my gosh, it's just the level of violence that she brings to the octagon is second to none. Shevchenko's still there, as you mentioned. Look, women's MMA just continues to grow and blossom, and you still have Holly Holm that's there, and she's into her mid-30s and still athletic and agile, and comes from a boxing background. So
still there, man. You can't sleep on Holly Holm. She definitely still has some action. I'm excited about with the women's division, but also the UFC light heavyweight division. Hey, what about Glover Teixeira's performance against Anthony Smith? To be honest with you, Steve, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, no, me neither. I don't think a lot of people did. I think everybody was sleeping on that.
I did not see that coming because Anthony Smith, I felt like it finally turned the corner, won 3 or 4. I felt he learned a lot in the loss to John Jones. I thought Teixeira, 40 years of age, was long in the tooth, kind of had his best days behind him, and he goes out there and dominates Anthony Smith. And I think it's so funny. I think it's been brought up a lot, but when Glover Teixeira's pounding away on Anthony Smith, not only does he knock out his tooth, but he goes, I'm sorry. This is part of the business. I'm sorry. Can you imagine dominating another guy in combat sports, punching him in the face unmercifully, and then having the class to be able to say, I'm sorry, this is a part of the job. What a class act Glover Teixeira is.
I start, a lot of people have a really kind of skewed view on MMA fighters and think they're these, mean, nasty people that just want to beat people up. But I see a lot of times in a fight, they're friends. They at the end of the fight, they're hugging each other saying, man, it's all just business, right? It's the name of the game. It's how it's what, it's what people are paying for. It's what it's what the game's all about.
Exactly.
And you can go out there and be, a brutal fighter and go out there and knock someone to pieces and then be like, hey, and a lot of times they both understand that. They both kind of, and then, like I said, then there's the rivalries where it gets like Conor and Khabib.
Oh, big time.
It
gets heated.
There's no love there at all.
No, none whatsoever, my man. So hopefully, we get, those fights sooner than later with all this stuff happening.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, and John Jones hopefully will be back again in soon.
I'd like to see him and Dominic Reyes again. I think he got very, very fortunate because I think Dominic Reyes, won that fight. But hopefully, John Jones, Dominic Reyes number 2. I think Jones owes it to Reyes to give him a rematch, and if that's behind closed doors without fans, I say run it back. I think that's a fight that needs to happen next.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely, and a lot of people, that fight could have gone either way. I was kind of like, that third round could have gone one way or the other. I definitely don't agree with the judges' card. I mean, with one thing, I'm not 100% sure it's always the same in boxing, but one thing about UFC, the judging has always been a little screwy.
Right. I mean, boxing has probably led the charge on that for, decades before the UFC was even in existence.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where, when you look at the cards and you score to fight yourself and you look at it and you go, wow, how the hell did that judge score this like that? I don't know how it got there. But, definitely want to see Jones and Reyes again. A lot of people believe that, we're not seeing the John Jones of old. But John, I think we are. I think John is still as good as he ever was. However, I think he doesn't do well against fighters that fight similarly to him.
Exactly.
He doesn't do well to fighters that match him up that way.
Well, see, I don't believe in the fact that people are saying John Jones slowing down. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that just Dominic Reyes is that good. Yeah. It's like, can we give credit to the challenger in this instance?
Absolutely.
In the fact that he went in there. I mean, look at what John Jones did to Anthony Smith. I mean, Smith was tough and durable, but man, Jones gave him a beating. Let's give credit to Dominic Reyes for what he was able to do.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't believe in this narrative that, Jones slowing down, he's getting a little bit older. John Jones is, in my opinion, the second greatest mixed martial artist of all time. My number one is Anderson Silva, because what Anderson Silva did back in his heyday was like watching Michael Jordan during his apex. I mean, it was ridiculous. I have John Jones right underneath Anderson Silva, and underneath him, the man that's being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, George St. Pierre. So I got Silva, Jones, GSP as my 1, 2, and 3.
That's awesome, because I was going to ask you that question anyway. It's actually on my list of questions. Who's your top UFC or MMA fighter? But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think it's almost disrespect. Well, it is disrespectful if you say John Jones is slowing down and that's why Reyes kind of did what he did. But I think Reyes is just a phenomenal fighter, and I think Jones is as good as he ever was. And I think even in Jones, go back 10 years when Jones was even better. When people are kind of going into that, he was better then. I think Reyes would have done the same exact thing. I think it would have been the same. Would have been the same outcome. I think, in the rematch, Reyes wins, in my opinion.
I think so too. It's a new era, and it's okay. John Jones loses once. How is he going to respond to that? I'm good with it. I love that sort of, seeing what the champion can do when it's ripped away from him. But again, we need to run it back. Let's see Jones Reyes number 2. And hopefully we get a third fight, in early 21 if that happens.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And like I said, we got a lot of that kind of stuff coming around. I think, you got, Fury Wilder coming back again. We got that. Hopefully that's going to happen. If Dana White is listening right now, please make that fight happen.
Exactly.
An awesome fight. And, it would definitely jump, I think it would top that 700 million viewers on
on Saturday. Yeah, it would eclipse 700,000 for sure, no doubt.
What are you doing next, man? What's up for you? I mean, what do you
Well, on Monday I got Vito Melnicki Jr. on Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific time. Vito Melnicki Jr., he's 18 years old now. He's a young fighter that is coming up through PBC. He actually still in high school. He fought a couple times in Las Vegas on pay-per-view cards. He had to get a note from his teachers to be able to miss the week to participate in Fight Week festivities. After he was done doing his promotional material and working out, he had to do work in his hotel room. So he was doing schoolwork and homework and taking tests in his hotel room as he's getting ready for a big fight in Las Vegas.
So
he fought
awesome.
on ESPN. So I got Vito Melnicki on this upcoming Monday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific time.
Awesome.
Also, so every single Monday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific time on PBC's Instagram live page, I'm doing interviews with different fighters and stuff like that. And,
cool.
As joining, yourself on this, different video podcasts and everything else. So, just trying to, stay sharp and ready to go, man. But, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm getting a little cabin fever, and I want to see these
We
guys
all,
inside the
man.
ring or the octagon, and
We
let's get back. Let's all stay safe, take the necessary precautions, but let's try to get the fighters doing what they do best, what I do best, and what we all do, so that we can try to get a little diversion from everyday life.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, man. And that's great. You're keeping yourself busy. You're keeping yourself sharp. And I think that's so important, because you don't want to come back, with some rust,
No, man.
You want to come back and be at the top of your game, as you always are. And, I've been checking out the Instagram page. I've been watching. I've been, and I know a lot of other people are. So, definitely anything I could do to help you promote that and put that out there. And definitely good luck with that. Keep going. Even when everything comes back to normal, man, keep doing that. Cause I think
we're going to continue. I mean, we were mentioning that this is a new era in media. So we're going to continue these Instagram live, things, even post quarantine, and, continue to get to know people more from their homes. And I think that's great. More of an insight as to how these fighters are, what's going through their minds. And that's what we're focusing on, getting to know the fighters more, because, the fans want it, and let's make it happen. So if there's a need for it, a desire for it, we'll make it happen. And I'm on the front lines trying to make all that transpire.
Yeah, man, and you do a great job. You made me think of something. I was just thinking to myself, I know there were 400,000 podcasts active, last time we talked, and that was pre-quarantine. I wonder how much it might have jumped up.
Yeah, probably at least 200,000.
What did my competition? What happened? Where's my competition at now?
Oh man,
a billion podcasts now, but but it's great though, man. It's good. I mean, you got a lot to say, a lot of insight into this stuff, and your show is great. And I want you to keep it going and do what you got to do, man. And I look forward to PBC coming back. I look forward to the UFC and MMA and all, all the other MMA, combat sports coming back. Glory for kickboxing. I mean, everything. I just want to see it all come back up, man. And I want to see it stronger than ever. And I'm sure it will be. I'm sure you guys are going to come back stronger than ever. And I look forward to continuing to talk to you about stuff and have you on. Again, this is your second appearance, so I'm sure we'll have a third one down the road.
3 and 4, Steve. I'm here for you, man. So when you need me, I'm here for you, brother. Let's make it happen.
I know, brother, and I appreciate it, man. And we'll check it out, and I want everybody to go check out your Instagram.
So Mondays 3:00 Eastern, noon Pacific time, PBC Instagram Live. Check it out every single Monday. We start off the week with a different interview with a different fighter within the PBC ranks, and you don't know who's going to jump on. I had one fighter on, Rosario, last week, Jermel Charlo, a guy that maybe might fight him in the future. He jumped on right after that, so you never know who the heck is going to be chatting or who's going to come on. So it is pure pandemonium, but pandemonium within the safety of our homes right now is a good thing when it comes to fighting. So let's all get closer to the bigger fights. So I'm excited about it. Check it out, and look forward to talking with everyone sooner rather than later.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate
it, Steve. Take care, brother.